Hello there. Today we are discussing e-invoicing in Malaysia, which we have integration done for ERPNext by ERP Gulf, and you can use it with, of course, with ERPNext, and the source code is here on our GitHub page. So here you can see it here, MyInvoice. It's the same that you can install it, or you can ask us to install for assistance, and the basic documentation, everything is there in the GitHub repo. And if you want anything related to that, you can send a mail to us in support@erpgulf.com. Let's start how we are moving forward. So first, what is e-invoicing? E-invoicing is the Malaysian government project that uh, all of the businesses will will send their invoices, not only invoices, purchase invoices, the B2B. I'll show you the okay. So I just opened the screen. So this is the main portal, and you can get your credential, everything. I think most of you know how to get the credentials and all. And the timeline of the implementation is reaching for all of you. And for the small and medium business, it has been postponed to 2026. For others, it's already started, and many of you have been implemented or, with our app in the past. So there will be, while we say that you are implementing, how to implement it, there are two versions so far. That is, there are two versions for e-invoice implementation. That's the first one, version 1, and then version 1.1. The major difference I will just tell you. Before that, I will just log into the ERPNext. This screen is very familiar for you. This is ERPNext screen. So if you just go, if you can use the standard procedure to install LHDN software, I mean the app, that you can see it here, my invoice app. So this is the app that we are implementing now. That we are constantly updating whenever we get a update from the government, or our own customers, or when they ask for a feature, or we are regularly updating that. So here on the company setting page, we have this, you can see it here. Here, the first thing that I wanted to tell you, that there are two versions, that's 1 and 1.1. And you can see in the e-invoicing, I can just Google it. Uh, so there are two versions, version 1.1 and version 1. So the major difference is for the version 1.1, you need to take certificates from a third party, that is approved certificate authorities, that is basically PostDigit and the MSC. I mean, you can contact any of this company to issue a CA certificate, that you need to upload in our setting page. I will show it here. You need to upload a certificate, or you can use version 1, it's still valid. So if you are using version 1, you don't need a separate certificate. So I'll just explain you here. So version 1 self certificate. Oh, I'll write it. Version 1 self certificate. Version 2 is authorized CS. So you can get it from any of the CS. That list is on this page. So the link, you can see it on the top. I will put it on the show note also. You can just see it here. Then once you have that, once you decide which version you are going, if you are going with version 1, that's fine. You just proceed with that. Then if you are going with the version 1.1, you select here and save it and get a certificate from the third party and upload it here once you get it. Okay, and then enable CHDN. And okay, there are two other things. One is two settings that you need to decide. One is sandbox and one is production. So sandbox is basically, as the name suggests, you just you know you can submit it, but it's not actually a legal thing. It's just for testing. So sandbox, just right here, sandbox is for testing, not accountant. Okay, not, I mean, and production is the one that actually the actual one. So most of the company go for sandbox for a couple of weeks or a month, then make sure that everything is okay, then they will go for production. So basically you don't need much change. You just need to change it here on the type. Okay, so first thing that you need to do is go to the government site. I mean, obviously you have it already, so you get it from the side. I mean, the portal, the Malaysian MyInvoice portal. Get a client ID and a client secret. You enter it here. This is the company page. You enter it here, and then it will not be here normally. So I'm just doing it. So this is a certificate, actually a bearer token that you are creating out of this client ID and client secret. So when you are clicking it here, taxpayer login, so it's actually, it will create a bearer token here. You can see it. You can see access token fetched. Actually, it's an API that we are running to get the bearer token from LHDN. So this, now you can see this is filled with a bearer token that can be used to submit invoices, debit note, credit note, self-billed invoice. I mean, everything will be done using this. But if you are using version 1, and then it will use this PFX certificate to generate bearer token. So it will be a double security, a guaranteed security. So that's why it's going. And I'll show you the XML. So the submission of XML will will use this bearer token. That is first thing. Then there is a submission URI that you need to use. This is for the sandbox, and this is for the production. This normally it will be same for a long time, but maybe if the authority changing the URL or something, at that time you need to change it here. These are the basic settings that you need to. In fact, the Malaysian e-invoicing authorization authentication steps are pretty simple, except if you are using version 1.1, you need to pay for the authority. Otherwise it's pretty simple, so you can get it. And on the company page, you need some more details. This is MCIC code. This is MCIC code is the activity of your company. Of course, you know, if you are in this business, you know already that what are the activities that you are using. So it's, as far as we are using, we are an information technology company, so we put it 62099. And then company registration type, there are multiple. That's BRN, MyCAD, MyCAS, and MyTenet Trust. So you can use whichever company type you have it. And then there is a business registration number that you need to enter it here, and there is a tax name. Okay, so and there is some other thing also. If you have tourism tax number and SST number, and this type of information you already have it, because with your company registration you just need to enter. And you can use this button that we have put it here on the ERPNext for searching company TIN. If you just click over here, it will give you one response, that is your TIN. Basically, you mean if you don't have the TIN, just click that button and get the TIN. You just put the registered number here on the top, and you get the taxpayer name taxpayer name and get it, or either you put taxpayer name or tax registration number to get the TIN. That TIN will be filled here if you are searching for the TIN. So that's fundamental. So this setting page, the company page, will have this kind of information. There are two pages. One is detail page that you already have it, and there is tax ID and everything that you will fill it. Everything, all the information you will fill it, and this is the LHDN information. These are the settings. These are one-time settings. You don't need to do again and again. This is all one-time setting. Now we will go to the customer or supplier. So we have several type of submissions. So the submissions will be, there are sales invoice, credit notes, debit notes, and purchase invoice. Basically this I just saying purchase invoice, it is actually self-billed invoice. Self-billed invoice, they say that, and there is credit note and debit note. That will be other way around, like debit and credit. So we put it like this. Normally every company will have, of course, sales invoice, credit note and debit note. That is coming from the ERPNext sales invoice page. And purchase invoice, that is actually, it's a self-billed invoice. You actually don't need to fill it if you are not producing self-billed invoice. That is for other companies, because you are not the supplier in this case. Supplier is other company and you are receiving the material. But self-billed invoice is actually the invoice that they will allow you to make an invoice. It's generally, most of the companies don't use this procedure. They will just use sales invoice, credit note and debit note for the submission. But in case you are using, you use it. So in this case you will need customers. In this case you will need customer database, and in this case you need a supplier database. Here you need a supplier database. And when you're having this supplier and customer, what you need to do on the customer, here you need to have a customer registration number and a customer registration type, BRN, NRIC, that you need to enter for customer. A TIN number, the registration number, and the passport type. Okay, SST number also. If you have tourism tax number or SST number, you need to enter that also. That is, and the other things are same, like other details are same ERPNext standard, so we didn't make any changes there. And on the sales invoice, if you go to sales invoice, so you can see we have submitted few invoices here for testing. So here, what you need to do, I'll explain the fields. So here, when you are selecting the customer TIN will come. But even the customer TIN, if you can check it here also, there is a customer TIN. You can get it directly from the government portal. And here there is a portal. This is when you are taking customer. Okay, so there are some minor details I want to tell you on when you are selecting TIN number. But if it's a cash customer, they don't have a TIN number. So you need to have this. I just stored it here. It's from the site. So this is for the 4 type of general TIN number. So if it's not a company and they just, you have a open normal regular customer that they are coming to the shop for purchase, so you need to use general public TIN. This from the portal. I just copied here. This is the number for general public TIN, and this is for the foreign buyer, foreign shipping recipient TIN, and here foreign supplier TIL here, and there is by government and the government authorities TIN. So these are the 4 type of TIN that you need to use in case the buyer don't have a TIN on his name. That's one thing that you need to remember in this case. And then there is a tax category type that you need to select when you are submitting. That is sales tax, service tax, tourism tax, high value good tax, sales tax on low value goods, then not applicable, and tax exception. These are the things. Okay. So if you are selecting an exception, when I'm making new invoice, I will show you. So I'll make it now. So then you need to select whether you want to submit. This is by default. You can press it, tick this tick, because actually you have enrolled. You need to submit it every time. So you just keep it here to submit to LHDN, and there is you will get a response from LHDN, and then here you will see the status is valid or something. I'll just go here and duplicate it. Here, what you need, so here this is an invoice. I'm just putting an invoice here. So when I'm know how to do that, right? Just put it here and submit the invoice here. When you are submitting the invoice, when you are submitting the invoices, so what happens? It will give you a response body for you. This response body will say this submission status. If the network connection or something, it will say there is a network connection, so at that time you can resubmit it. But normally what will happen, it will give you a number, an accepted document, and invoice code, and if it's rejected, it will show rejected. It's coming from the government. So this is the way it works. And so if you refresh this page, you will see the response here. The details of the response here, and the LHDN status. If you can, I mean, so unlike other invoice submission, you get the submission status later, that we do automatically in the background. But if you want to get it now, you can just go here and get the status of this. So in the status, they make it whether it's valid or something. So it is, you can see now it is valid here. So that's pretty much on the sales invoice side. But I'll tell you, if it's failed or something, so you will get it in the error log. So you can see the error log, LHDN status error. If you have some error, some issues, it will be listed here. And there is a dashboard. I will show you that dashboard later. And there is LHDN success log is there. So there is a success list. So every submission, we are creating all the details of that submission here. So in case there is a dispute or something you missed or something, so you can just get all the details here in the log. And I will come back to the sales invoice. And the sales invoice, you need to keep this. It will attach two files here when you submit to LHDN. That is, one is an XML file and one is a QR code. QR code, if you press it here, you can see a QR code, and if you scan it, you will see all the details of the invoices. So this one you can print it. We will share you the code how to print it on the invoice, so you can see it on the invoice. And there are some apps that you can use it to scan it and get all the details. And here there is an XML page. So that XML page I will open for you just for your understanding. You basically don't do anything with that, but you need to keep it. That's the regulation. 1 minute. So I will open to the VS Code, so you can see how it is. The XML will look like. So this is the XML that you can see. On this XML, all the details will be there. But it's purely technical. On the day-to-day activity, you don't need to see technical. But this is the one. And for the other things, like, so here we have submitted a sales invoice. So if you want credit note, credit note is basically, when you are when the buyer returns something or canceling order, you will create a. Mm, by the way, I return. Okay, so when you are when somebody is returning something, you will just return credit note. Okay, so in this return credit note, and okay, so these are all, when you are making sales invoice, there are Ex- there are tax category. I already told you, service tax, so tourism tax, and all the taxes, and the sovereign status. If there is an exception code, if you are selecting an exception here, tax exemption, so you can select this, which are the exemption, sovereign status, government regulation, different registry, international agreement, and that kind of things. Okay, you can make it. And invoice type, it will be automatically selected: credit note, debit note, refund note, or consolidated invoice. So these are the invoices that, I mean, we have it in the POS also. So POS invoice also will submit as the same. And there is cashier. I mean, this we have added something, some more fields. You can see from the details. And for the self-billed invoice, you can see it on the purchase. You can see it on the purchase invoice here. So what you can see here, you can I told you this is for self-billed invoice, basically is purchase invoice, but you are the buyer and somebody else is selling you, and but you are making an invoice based on him. But this is not all the purchase invoice. You don't need to submit to LHDN, because only self-billed invoice you need to submit to LHDN. So don't make default. The tax has to be paid from the supplier. So this is a complicated procedure. So when you are making a purchase invoice, you take a decision whether it's a self-billed invoice or not. And other things are same. You just submit it and you will get the QR code and submit an invoice. And the details that you have put it on the customer will be done it here, and the submit status and everything will be done it here. So there are no much complications in that case. So this is all what we have covered: sales invoice, credit note, debit note, self-billed invoice, that is basically purchase invoice. And when you are returning it, there is debit note and there is refund, so you can use it. So all of it's covered, and there is XML and there is this details. And then we have a dashboard, that is, you can use it for all the submitted invoice, get the details of the submitted invoice. You can see sales invoice, how many submitted and how many is valid, and how many purchase invoice, and invalid, how many got invalid, maybe some reasons, but normally should be 0. And purchase invoice, and the submitted means first it will be submitted, then it will be valid. It will take a little time to make a submitted a valid. So we automatically do in the background to check submitted become valid or not, or invalid. So this will be updated accordingly. And there is a cancelled invoice. Okay, so there is, when you are cancelling invoice also, the Malaysian e-invoice is specific on that. If you cancel invoice, you need to submit that cancellation of invoice, but within certain hours. So you can just cancel an invoice, submit it, and so that is there in the. I just forgot to show you that if you are cancelling an invoice, you just need to put cancel here, and it will be the cancellation will be submitted to LHD in this case. And there are some failures. If you have the failures, it will be shown in the log, and there is a chart here. So here all the details will be there. For example, if I check all the sales invoices that is submitted, it will be listed here. So you can make a print, or if you want to take a printout of this, you can just take from that. There's purchase invoice submitted and all the invoices submitted, etc., etc. So we are making some modifications, some coloring, etc., on this dashboard that will be published pretty soon. And So that's what. And if you need any support on that, as I told you in the beginning, so you just need to contact us on support at erpgulf.com. So we can give you any support in that case. But the code is available on our GitHub, so you can visit our website for more details, and send your comment to us for any clarification. We are ready to help you on this case. I think that will be enough for today. We will raise another video for explaining some more technical details. But right now, thanks for joining me, and good evening. Appreciate you joining. Thank you.